He says the answers come to him spontaneously out of his mental imagery. Rama and his team are finding it hard to trip Daniel up. But they're not finished with him yet. If Daniel's descriptions of his numbers are real, then they should also be consistent. Rama asks Daniel to model some of his numbers with Play-Doh, but doesn't tell him that he'll be retested the next day.
It's hard to imagine him having memorized shapes. The question is, are they the same shape? So we can actually compare that now. That's 242. Now let's see his 242 today. Overall, there's a remarkable similarity. That's very interesting. Let's take 58. Again, same story, very similar, same color, same shape, but not exactly the same. 810 from today, 810 from yesterday. And again, it's a very precise shape. So, the general impression is he seems to be producing the same shapes consistently.
Daniel has cruised the consistency test. But Rama and his team are still dubious that Daniel reacts emotionally to certain numbers.
I was a little bit mean, and I played a trick on Daniel. He said he loved pi because it was beautiful. It was just this wonderful, special shape. Well, if it's so beautiful for him, and he normally gets this wonderful, warm reaction from pi, I thought that I would show him something that initially would look like pi on the surface, 3.14, and tweak it a little bit. Throw in numbers like 6, which he doesn't like.
The small electrodes attached to Daniel's fingers are like a lie detector. They'll measure any emotional response, good or bad. So if Daniel is shown a number that he really loves, there should be a clear-cut signal.
So sure enough, I showed him this bastardized version of pi, and we saw this very nice, warm galvanic skin response, and then it jumped up, and then all of a sudden it jumped again, and as he was scanning it, we kept getting another jolt, and another jolt, and another jolt, and it wouldn't stop. And afterwards I was asking him, well, what's going on in your head when you were seeing that? And he said, well, here's this beautiful number pi that I love, and I see it, and then as I'm looking at the landscape, all of a sudden there's a pit where it's not supposed to be. And, this mountain is missing, and it's really, it's wrong, and how could you do that to something so beautiful? And while it was a little bit mean to do that to him, it really shows the point that he does have some sense of emotion associated with these numbers, because the skin response was off the charts. It was something you just can't fake. These are the things specifically that are showing me he's not bullshitting and he's not scamming. Even the mistakes that Daniel is making are the mistakes that tell me, you know what? This is legit. A faker wouldn't be doing this.
So if Daniel is for real, how is he able to do such huge calculations without any conscious effort?
When you did this computation in your head, what exactly was going on in your head? What were you doing?
I see an image in my head, and that image starts to change, starts to almost like evolve. It's quite vague at first. As I'm looking at it, it becomes clearer and clearer over a time, and then from that landscape I can read the digits out.
So it sort of gradually crystallizes?
Yes.
In a multiplication, the two numbers hover before him as distinct shapes. The gap in between makes a third shape, which Daniel experiences as a new number, the correct answer.
He's doing math, but he doesn't even know it.
When it comes to numbers, it seems that Daniel's brain really is doing something extraordinary.
I'm blown away.
Something the scientists can't yet get a handle on.
This could be the linchpin that spawns off a new field of research.
But we still had one last test for Daniel. Daniel is now flying to Iceland for his ultimate challenge. We've given him a week to learn a totally new language from scratch, and then go live on national television. Even the locals say that Icelandic is confusing and unpronounceable.
The difficult bit is the grammar, I would say. But we have funny sounds where you have nowhere in the world like snerra. You do like a sound like this.
With the clock ticking, Daniel badly needs some lessons, but his teacher doesn't seem hopeful.
There is a myth that it's impossible to learn Icelandic. So the foreigners that I get to teach, they have this feeling. It's like you would say impossible. Impossible for a human to learn this in a week. Just omögulegt. That's the Icelandic word for impossible.
In a colloquial speak, if a native speaker speaking...
Daniel's brain power may have met its limits. With a day to go before Daniel's live chat show, his teacher's early doubts are turning to amazement.
He was like a vacuum cleaner. I can see he was sucking up the words, and he was just putting it in his brain.
Little by little, hour by hour, I'm just beginning to tune in and hear more and more of the language and understand more and more of it.
It's one thing to chat with your teacher. Speaking live to 250,000 people is the real test.
I have no idea what will come out tomorrow night. If you get too stressed, nothing is going to come out.
The 7 days are up, and Daniel is making last-minute preparations before he goes live on air.
Yes, okay, tell me when to go on.
Myndum ótrúlegt minni hans og tungumálanámið hluti af því. Við ætlum að reyna að tala við Daniel Tammet á íslensku næstu mínúturnar. Velkomin.
Velkomin. Hvernig hefur gengið að læra?
Mjög vel, takk. Íslensk fyrir mig svo falleg og já, erfitt að læra á 7 dögum. Þegar ég sé Íslendinga tala á íslensku svo auðvelt eins og anda og ég með íslensku astma.
How well has Daniel managed to speak Icelandic after just a week of learning the language from scratch?
Íslendingur tala ekki málfræði.
Astonishingly, it looks like Daniel has pulled it off.
Mjög gott að tala íslensku með Íslendinga.
I was amazed. He was responding to our questions. He did understand them very well, and I thought that his grammar was very good.
Mig langar að segja svo meira.
We are very proud of our language, and that someone is able to speak it after only 1 week. That's just great.
So Daniel is definitely unique. I would say him as a genius, and for me, I will never ever get in touch with a person or a student as gifted as he is, because it's almost beyond. It's not human.
There's no doubt that abilities like Daniel's are extremely rare. World authority on savants, Dr. Darrell Treffert, has spent a lifetime studying the Rain Man phenomenon and is in no doubt where to rank Daniel.
My estimate is there are probably fewer than 50 such people living worldwide. I think Daniel's ability is at a prodigious level because it would be spectacular. If that were to be seen in any of us, it would be spectacular.
Equally, though, Daniel has been blessed with almost miraculous good fortune.
The line between profound talent and profound disability seems really and surprisingly thin one.
The way Daniel can describe his inner world is giving scientists a window into the brain that they've never had. But the truth is, their journey of exploration is only just beginning.
The bigger question is whether we all have some of those abilities within us, and that is what I refer to as the little Rain Man within each of us.
What I do, I don't think it's supernatural, I don't think it's something that can't be explained. Who knows, there may be abilities here that everyone can perhaps tap into in some way.
Savant syndrome is challenging us to think in new ways about intelligence and what intelligence is.